So welcome to another video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today is our monthly debrief for January of 2024. Our first one of the year. Ooh! That means I get to put Season 4 now.
Ooh, Season 4. Oof.
Wow.
Who would have thunk it?
Honestly, not me, that's for sure.
I don't know that we could ever do anything for 4 consecutive seasons, 48 episodes. No. But we're doing it.
I also like this because not only is it a way for us to kind of have an excuse to talk about some different things within the hobby, which I think is fun and interesting.
Yep.
But also, I find that it also helps to focus a little bit more. Like, hey, we're trying to play these, and we had played that, but like, it's a little bit of accountability.
Sure.
Instead of like before, we would just like play whatever, and we were very much mood players.
That's very true.
And we still are.
Yeah. Because tonight I came over and I was like, hey, could we just play this?
And I said no.
And I appreciate that you held your guns,
yes,
because I had a blast playing what we did.
But yeah, but last week I did cave.
What were we going to play last week?
We were going to do this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But that was
more you, though.
Oh yes, without question. Okay. But like...
Not really.
No,
I wasn't excited about the daunting setup.
No, and it was awful.
Yeah, it took it hour and a half.
It was closer to probably 3 hours.
Okay, and I appreciate you.
I had about an hour and a half one day, and an hour and a half the next day, because it was
nice.
Well,
a lot of counters.
Yeah, but anyway,
big maps.
The debriefs for me act as little kind of milestones through the year, and it's like, hey, we're trying to do this in this little 3 to 4 week sprint. And so we're like, okay, do this and this. And then the next one, we'll get this and this. And it helps. I think it's a good thing.
And to be honest, my favorite part of it is we talk about games that we haven't played for a long time, or that we played many, many, many years ago, but we have a topic and we kind of bring those in. And I really enjoy doing that.
I like to have an excuse to look back on, like, ooh, you know, this game that we played forever ago that was awesome,
and here's why. And
it's hard for me to shoehorn that into a review for another game, although I try.
We do that actually quite often. We talk about other games when we're reviewing certain games.
I think that, you know, gracious. Are we 8 years into this now almost?
We are, yeah. This April will be 8 years. It's insane.
I think...
I had hair... And I had dark hair.
Me too.
Yeah. And it's just, we're different.
But I think that having done this for that long, we've played an unconscionable number of games.
Yep.
And I think the longer we've been doing it, the more easier it is for me to contextualize a specific game in a review, where it sits within the hobby and with other games that are like it or very much dislike it.
Right.
Or unlike it, sorry. And I think that is... I like doing that as an intellectual exercise, but I think that's helpful for people, I hope. Where it's like, oh, it's like this, or it's different from this.
If they have an experience with a certain game that we bring up, that can help give them a framework of what we're talking about. And I think that's valuable. And I'm actually glad that we've played so many games that we have a catalog to pull from. And I like that. So, and all the time, we have games that we enjoyed, but we're like, I can't keep this around. I mean, we got so many games, but I find myself like, got to keep that one because that's a French and Indian War game or whatever it might be. And we know we want to do a topic on it or do an event or whatever it might be. And you got to keep those games around at least till you do those videos.
Yeah.
And the reality is, every game we have, I love, almost.
Yeah.
Almost every one of them. Well, and it's fun to keep them around.
The ones that we don't love might not stick around for as long. But
well, and we don't really talk about those that much either.
Not as often. But, you know, I enjoy the debriefs. I enjoy the experiences that I've had over the years, and bringing all of that together in videos it's fun.
Great.
That's why I'm in the hobby. It's what I like doing.
Yep.
So this particular video is sponsored by Noble Knight Games. A little bit more from them later, but they're a very valued sponsor of ours. We love their support, and we love what they do for the hobby more generally by providing a games buy and sell service, and you can get anything on there that your heart desires if you have enough patience.
And you know, we took a truckload of games up about 4 months ago and brought only 3 or 4 back.
And we just spent a lot of
We
money.
just spent a lot of money buying 3 games that we'll probably never play.
No! Well, no. We will play at least 2 of those 3 games. Which I realize how crazy that is to say.
Well, and I know which one you won't want to play. Byzantine by...
Byzantium.
Is that what it is?
By
It's
Warfrog.
Warfrog Games. That game looks dope.
I just know nothing about it. I'm sure it's going to be fun.
I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it by myself.
Yeah.
It's not a war game, but it's a fun-looking game.
Yeah, we pre-ordered The Enemy is at the Gates.
Yes.
From Compass Games.
Why did we pre-order that?
Because the CSS system, the company scale system from Adam Starkweather originally is really, really good.
And that's a modern warfare, Cold War
World
gone hot.
War III, which...
Yeah. We haven't played a whole lot of games in that genre.
No, and the ones that we
few.
have are fine. It's not a topic that I'm like, ooh!
Yeah.
But that system is very crunchy and very detailed, and this is a very big game. And
Very
it looks
big.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, so we pre-ordered that. And what was the other one you got? Some kind of Napoleon?
Yeah, Highway to the Kremlin 2.
Okay, we're never going to play that one.
No, that's a solo game for me,
Yeah.
but it looks incredible.
Sure.
But yeah, like Noble Knight games are wonderful.
Yep.
But more from them later on in the video. So let's talk about the games that we played in January.
Yeah.
We got some pretty big titles played. So we're going to
did.
start with North Africa 41
Yeah,
from
let's-
GMT Games.
This was a fun game. I absolutely enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah, so there's a full review of this coming out at some point. Sooner rather than later, I hope. But yeah, you know how it is.
I think we have about 40 videos.
Yeah, and it's like not getting...
No, it's not
Smaller.
Good. Well, I keep shooting solo videos. I just shot 2 more of those this week. By the way, there's one you have to download.
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah, the review for
And
Halls
it's
of
just
Hegra.
lots of...
It's never going to go away.
No, and then the unboxings and...
Yeah, I'm almost ready to quit with unboxings, though. Just
Yeah.
gonna be honest.
I mean, I
Everybody-
know what you're saying. Yeah.
Everybody seems to get pissed about it, but which
Yeah,
is so stupid.
thousands of people watch
Yeah,
them,
it's
so,
just so dumb.
the people who aren't vocal are the ones watching it, I guess.
Oh, I never watched those. Well, I disagree because like 3,000 other people
You
just
commented
watched
on the
them.
video, and therefore you have considered to have watched it by YouTube. Come on, man.
Yeah. Anyway, North Africa 41, 40X series from GMT, Mark Simonich. Very different game.
Very different from the 40X series.
Huge scale,
Yes.
huge map, very focused on supply,
Yes.
which a lot of war games are, but very focused on supply. You're very focused on trying to destroy the port facilities.
This is a supply game with a war game on it, instead of a war game with a supply game on it.
But it was so good.
It's incredible.
I enjoyed it so much.
I think about this, like, a lot since we've played it.
Yeah.
Like, the concepts of making the supply system work, I know this might sound crazy to people, was really fun.
It was.
It's
Because
very difficult
it's
and
not
challenging.
just supply in the normal respect.
Yeah.
It is attack supply.
It's, yeah.
So in order to activate any more combat factors than I think it was 9,
Yes.
right? Or to include tanks in that, which give you column shifts.
Yeah, to get the
bonuses,
tank shifts, yeah.
you got to spend supply. And you don't have a lot of supply.
And you gotta get it to the right places.
Well, you got to use your stupid little trucks to get it over. And then you got to, I mean, incredible
it's just,
game. This is actually going to be one of my top, like, 5 games of the year.
It was
There's no doubt.
so good.
Yep, just so good.
It's
so
very
good.
crunchy, it's very detailed. It's not really for the faint of heart, but boy, you
No.
should give it a look.
Yeah, that was my favorite game of January.
Yeah, that
I
was
think we
that was
played.
excellent.
Definitely very, very good.
I played a game of Stonewall Jackson's Way 2 on Vassal with Mike. We didn't play the whole thing yet. We're in the process of playing it, but
And this is a one mapper.
yes.
Okay.
You
Smaller.
can do a 2-mapper, but we're playing it with 1 map. I'm pretty sure.
Not 96 turns like on to Richmond.
No, it's 15.
Also a great game.
It's 15 turns
Yeah.
though for the whole
Yeah.
campaign, so you can play this in half a day or in
This is
in
more
1
like
day.
a snack. On to Richmond is more like a banquet.
This is more like what this series is.
Got it.
2 of the games in this series are those like 100-turners.
Everything else is
is
15
much
to
more
20
reasonable. Yeah,
turns.
so
Yeah.
it's really enjoyable. It's everything I want
And
in it.
this one came out like in
Oh, gosh.
2017, 2018
This one is a 2021.
Okay.
But I think Stonewall Jackson's Way is one of the very first ones that ever came out.
This is 2, right?
This is 2 because it's the MMP are redoing them all and stuff.
Yeah.
Really, really fun. But
I enjoyed
playing
that
on Vassal.
onto Richmond's system. So one Saturday, let's go ahead and just get all 3 of those games so that we can. So 2 Saturdays ago,
Yes.
correct? 2 Saturdays ago, we made the trek over to Dayton, Ohio.
Yes.
And our friend David Thompson, and yes, that David Thompson who has done the Valiant Defense series of games, as well as Undaunted.
David Undaunted Thompson.
Great guy, very hospitable. We made a gaming day.
Yes.
And we drove the 2 hours over to Dayton on a very, very, very cold, Saturday morning. I think we got up we left our house at 6:30 or 6:40. And
6:45.
traveled over and we played 3 full games. And we had a blast.
Yes.
Him and his friend.
Chris
Blackman, I think is his name. Great guy. Really enjoyed that. We played Triumph, which is currently on Kickstarter from Phalanx.
Yeah, and there's a full prototype, preview video where we kind of go everything. If you want to look more at this game was...
Excellent. Oh. This is a really good game. It's interesting and unique, and there's a lot of interaction.
And it never forgets that it's a game.
Yep.
And it's just... before we got into wargaming, this is the kind of stuff that I was loving.
Yeah. Well, I just loved it because you're bidding against each other and you're using a symmetric deck of cards. It's just really excellently put together.
Every choice, there's something to consider.
Yeah. Oh, very good. We all enjoyed that. You ended up winning. I think the rest of us tried to get you at the end and it just didn't work, but had a great time with it. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, excellent.
Prime Minister we played next.
Yes.
Prime Minister from GMT Games.
Yes.
This one, we're struggling. And I feel like we did everything right. We played the rules correctly.
Yes.
We might have just played the bad scenario. We played the tournament scenario.
So it was our first game, and in my brain, I thought, well, let's play the tournament scenario. Because usually those are very focused, and it has
kind of the
all
meat
the
of the
stuff in
game.
it, and it has the most deciding points of the game.
Yep.
And it's short, where it's got to fit in a tournament setting.
This was short, 2 hours.
Yeah.
But it was short on a lot of things.
Yeah, it just
didn't fulfill me.
No. And I was really disappointed by that because some of the things that I was doing were cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to affect this particular, I don't know what they were called anymore. If I affect the farmers.
The voting categories, I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember. But then that affects how many people are going to vote this way or that way.
Yep.
Moving those buttons and stuff was cool, but you got to do 2 things on your turn, and sometimes it was neither of those. And it was...
Well, I felt like a majority of the time I ended up doing hobnobbing so that I could gain the cards.
To play the cards to do the stuff that you couldn't take actions to do.
I don't know. I want to give it another try. I really do.
Yeah.
But I know people have really talked this game up, and I think I just missed it.
And I will level with you, everyone at the table missed.
Yeah, it wasn't just
we kind of got done with it, and it was huh.
Well, let me say this, right? It's one of those things where there's 2 parties.
Yes.
2 players are in each of those parties. So you're working together, but you're also working against each other within your party to become the leadership. The leader can do a whole bunch of cool things, typically.
Yes.
The minority leader can't do diddly-poo, or can do very little, I felt like. And what I needed to do was get his prestige level to go down so that I could challenge him for leadership.
Yes.
It was almost impossible.
Yeah, for a backbencher, you have to resign, and then you have to have some other cards to make their prestige go down, or tank some of their bills, which are very difficult to do.
But in the scenario we played, the backbencher had already resigned. So it wasn't an option to resign again. Correct?
Yes, until you get back into... That's just it. It flows back and forth so much. I don't know. It felt like...
Well, I felt like what I was doing was not that interesting.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, but I want to give it a go again. Maybe it was just us. Maybe it was the day. Maybe it was the
And
fact
so
that we
that's
played a
like-
really good game first.
Well, but it's also one of those things of like, I want to give it a go again, but we played the short scenario.
Yeah,
Do
I
I
don't-
want to pay 3 times as long?
So please tell us why we're wrong. Tell us
yeah.
what we missed. Tell us what we overlooked.
Because it felt like you didn't have many choices, and so the obvious choices were very obvious, and it felt like the game kind of plays itself.
Well, and I felt like it just kind of went around the table and everybody was doing the same thing.
And there was no way to have done it differently
Nope.
and still try to win.
No,
I don't know.
100%.
I'd love people's feedback
Yeah.
on this of what you like.
Yeah.
What am I not seeing? Am I supposed to do it from the beginning? Is that the interesting part? In which case, what's the point of the end game?
Right.
Prime Minister from GMT.
Well, and then the third game we played, we also had some trouble with.
Yes.
This is a very cool game. Napoleon's Conquest from Fellowship of Simulations.
And this one we did do a review on.
We did.
So
Because
there-
I think we enjoyed this one more than we did Prime Minister.
yeah.
But we still had some problems with this.
Yes.
The rules, I think, were not that great.
No.
The clarity and ambiguity in the rules was not that great.
And it's a translation, so
Yep. It's a French game, French publisher. I really liked what I was doing, though. I had multi-use cards that were controlling me putting forces out, and I was worried about, it was a strategic level, so I was worried about everything.
and it's the
Econo-
whole worker placement part
Yep,
of it, and
which was
then the worker resolution. That's fun.
Felt a little bit like Dominant Species in that regard. And then it had area control on the board, basically. You're moving your troops around. Had a lot of combat. I also
Yes.
felt like maybe it was one-sided, particularly in the first couple of years of the game. But I also think that you guys as the coalition couldn't get it together, and I was just...
But the game sets you up to not be able to.
It's true. You need to figure out diplomacy to work together, to then be able to work together and fight together, and even defend together.
But as soon, yeah.
It was
You
just...
don't have enough troops to both help
No.
you and help yourself.
It's interesting.
Just if I help Vienna, Berlin goes away. If you help Berlin, Vienna goes away.
Yeah, it was interesting. There were a lot of things that I liked about it. I wrote a piece on this that'll come out next week.
I think conceptually there's some really good stuff.
Oh, there's a lot of
here.
great... I think it just needs maybe a
And the
little...
rule book was really tough to read.
It was. I feel like it needs some development and maybe some retranslation of the rules, and I think there would be a better game there.
I think so too.
Beautiful production, though. Really
Yep.
liked the map, loved the cards, loved the little pieces. I thought it was a good game. I enjoyed it. And it was a 2023 release that I had backed on Kickstarter, and I'm actually glad that we played it.
Yeah,
And we'll see where we go.
Frankly, any day that we can get together with 4 people and knock out 3 different games and
Pretty amazing.
experience some very different things, it was a wonderful day. Had a good time, that's for
Yep.
sure.
So what else did we play?
We played
Ardennes.
for
44.
the first game of our.
What did we decide to call it?
You decided to call it.
Shelf of Shame Purge.
And
The Purge, the Forever Purge.
okay,
Sorry.
please, come up with a better name.
No, I
something
like
that's
it.
catchy and rolls off the tongue.
Trademark.
That hopefully has some alliteration and is maybe shorter than that. But basically, we've decided to play one game every month from our back catalogue of games.
Yep.
And so this was the first one, Bulge game, our Den 44 classic from GMT Games, right?
Yep.
This has been sat on a shelf for a number of years. Let's actually get and play it. So it was
awesome.
Incredible, wonderful.
Everything I expected and more.
Yes.
A huge war game that we now have still set up
Yes.
underneath this.
That we will
we're
probably
gonna continue
continue
to play.
But yeah, this is
But-
just the lid because everything else is under here.
Yeah.
It-
I enjoyed it.
very, 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 very good.
And it was an older game in the system, right? We
I think it
figured
was the third one.
03 or 04, something
Yeah,
like that.
2003.
This is the third printing. But it felt familiar, but had a lot of other unique things that were tailored to the Battle of the Bulge
Yeah.
and the situation. Really enjoyed exploring that, understanding it, enjoying it, learning.
Excellent.
And it's another Bulge game. I don't quite understand why people... I'm going to go off on a little bit of a rant, old
Sure.
man rant here. Get off my yard. Get off my lawn. But people will say, like, why do we have more Bulge games? Well, dummy, it's because you keep buying them and playing them. Right? Isn't that the reason?
Yes.
But it's because it's a good representation of a lot of aspects of wargaming. attack, counterattack, supply, tough terrain. I have every Bulge game we've played I've enjoyed. Every one of them.
I enjoy them, but I also...
You don't love them like I do?
It's more that I think that there is a fundamental flaw with Bulge games, and that flaw is that the Germans either blitzkrieg and win, or they blitzkrieg and they don't win, and then it's over.
Sure.
And so the Allied player either got steamrolled, or they got beat back, and then we didn't need to bother playing out them doing the beating because it was over, because the Germans had nothing.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I struggle with, but also the games are good enough where I don't know if I really care about that. I think about the situation that we've got going in our game. I'm having fun doing the stuff.
Absolutely.
And I think about Ardennes 2 was the same way.
Loved it.
Even...
Worthington's a little Bulge game that's obviously much smaller game.
And you know,
enjoyed that.
In an hour or two game, I don't give a... Like, that stops being an issue. Getting beat up for 12 hours and be like, oh, I concede.
And we played for about 5 or 6 hours and got through 3 full turns. So it's got another 15 hours for us to finish that.
But I've got the Deadly Woods on the shelf. I want to play it. Like, it doesn't turn me off from Bulge games.
You've got Bitter Woods on the shelf that I would like to play?
I do not.
Oh, you got rid of that?
I sold that like 6 years ago.
Okay. No, you didn't.
I did.
Not 6 years ago.
Oh, yeah. That didn't make it out of Brownsburg. Okay. But that that was the old Avalon Hill version.
Yeah, okay.
They got a new Compass DSE version.
But don't you have that one?
No.
Oh, okay. No. All right. And I know that there's a new game coming out. Danny Parker's doing a Bulge game this year.
Yeah, isn't it? It's a retread.
Maybe it is.
Or a redesign of a very old game.
Okay.
I think.
Maybe.
It's called The Last Gamble.
There you go. You've got it.
Because it used to be called That Austrian's Last Gamble.
Okay.
And it was from like GDW or some other really old company. And they're totally redoing it. But I think it's supposed to be like that sort of classic game.
Yeah.
And so it looks very cool.
Well, I'm definitely going to pick it up.
Yes.
If you don't want Bulge games, then you can...
I already have enough unplayed games on the shelf.
And I've got a couple that we haven't played. But anyway, this was great.
This is...
Really enjoyed it.
This is... If you want a big, long, meaty game on the Bulge, come on.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
That's the one.
We also played Dune.
Yes, as you can see, this big old box.
War for Arrakis. That was a great game.
Dune, War for Arrakis from Cool Mini or Not.
They're not Cool Mini or Not anymore.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on. It's a Ponzi scheme. Anyway.
Great game.
It's just fun.
War of the Ring style of game, right?
Yes.
Cards, pieces on the board.
Action dice. Dudes on a map.
Very cool.
Wonderful miniatures.
The toy factor is here. And it's Dune, right? It's Dune. Who doesn't like Dune?
Yeah, we played this. It was really fun.
Oh, I had a blast.
Really, really, really good.
We're going to play this again on Sunday.
In fact. Yes, and then the week after.
Yeah, we're going to friends
over. This is getting played. It's just is just fun.
It's just a great game.
Good time.
And it was 3.5 hours that went like.
Oh my gosh! When we looked at the clock, I was like, "No!" At the time, it felt like it was 20 minutes.
It was amazing. I also played a lot of non-war games this month, which was...
Oh, that's right. You went to your brother's house, right?
Pretty interesting. Well, this I played with Plum, our brother-in-law, my father-in-law.
On New Year's Day, right?
New Year's Day, yeah. So this is Yucatan from Madagascar, right? And it's a dudes on a map, lots of combat. It uses a very cool combat mechanic, and it's the Yucatan Peninsula. So it's the Aztecs fighting it out. The gods come out. It's just a blast. I had a great time.
And this is the company that does like Cyclades and Kemet and Inish.
That we have really loved.
It's in that vein, right?
I had a blast with that game. In fact, I know you would have liked it.
I know.
You just couldn't come that day, but it's even got cool little pyramids that you
build.
They're cardboard pyramids. And I played some solo games. I'm going to pull out my solo games that I played. One of the best games that I played in a long, long time is Halls of Hegra. You've played this game.
Very, very fun.
This is a worker placement World War II, 1940 defense of a Norwegian World War I fort as the Germans are coming in. Amazing, amazing game.
It's so good.
It's an experiential game. It's hard to win. Although I figured some things out and I'm like, dang, I'm doing much, much better now. Very enjoyable. This is from Tompet Games. If you don't have this, you need to get out and get it. An extremely good solitaire war game.
And Tompet Games are like...
Donning the Purple.
Yeah, they're the little game company that could
Yeah,
almost.
they make great little games.
I think that might be someone else's tagline, sorry.
Probably.
I think Hollenspiel. But they do
So
Donning
good.
the Purple, which is this 3-player game. This is a 4-player expansion, but 3-player game about, Roman intrigue that's really good.
Yep.
This was awesome. They're popping out these little games every so often that are really well produced
Yep.
and really well developed and really good.
And it's just so unique. I
Yes.
don't know that I've played many games on that topic, so it was fantastic. My other favorite solitaire game from this year, Vive l'Empereur, this is 2nd edition from Blue Panther. This is Herm Lutman's very cool solitaire hex encounter war game on the Battle of Waterloo. This thing is awesome. I enjoyed the crap out of it. Shot a video about it. I didn't do a playthrough because this is a long game.
Right. How long?
How long was it? I think it took me about 3 hours. But I like to think through it and savor each battle and really try to figure out, okay, what am I going to do here? But this is a great game. I shot a review video and did kind of a play, like examples of how to do combats and
Is it
different
particularly
things.
complex?
It is very structured, and so you're playing as the French, right? The Emperor, and Wellington is being controlled by the system. So you have to follow a flow chart, and then you have the Prussians kind of coming in from off the battle. So it's fairly involved. I wouldn't say it's complex, but it's involved.
But could anyone play this, or is it?
Anyone can play it. Yeah, it's not overly complex in its rules, but
because I feel like I don't hear anyone talking about this game, but it's a hex encounter
Does
solo
anybody
game.
ever talk about games?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
People I'm not sure are even playing them anymore.
This one,
So
a solitaire hex encounter war game that is well done. That stuff is gold dust, honestly.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Because anyone can make a chart flipping narrative game.
Not real happy with the box here. I don't know what's going on. Why is that thing... That's weird.
But yeah, something that's like a real war game, that's obviously not a thing, but
Yeah. Showed the back of the box.
I think that's something that people might be sleeping on and should definitely check out.
Herman Lutman.
You know it's going to be good.
Very well done. I love this game.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. The other one that I have played, I'm still not done with the full game, Global War, Worldwide, 1939 to 45, Ben Madison, White Dog Games, States of Siege. But it's a different style of States of Siege. It's not the converging on one point. It's more of a horizontal thing where fronts are building up and then they overwhelm you. Kaiserkrieg used the same system, and I love that.
It's the World War II version.
Yeah, this is the World War II version. I'm about halfway done through my first game. Really enjoy it. I'll hit this and try to get it done this month. But that's my plan. And then I played how many games of Time of Crisis and
All the
Indian
classics.
Abyss and on Rally the Troops, which you need to get on if you're not on.
Yeah, I think I'm on my 3rd game of playing the Waterloo campaign from Mark Herman on
See, and
there.
I haven't played that at all.
Yeah,
I need to.
I'm still trying to figure it out. I won the first game.
Okay.
The second game I absolutely
Got crushed.
rogered. Yeah, it was bad. And then this game, it's very in the balance, but I'm really trying something different than happened in the first two. So I'm hoping to get some good stuff out of it.
I remember we played that at WBC like in 2018-ish.
Well, we played Gettysburg. We didn't play the Waterloo.
I'm sorry.
Because
That's
Waterloo
the
was
newest one.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
but it's the same system.
Yeah.
The other thing that's on there is they just put table battles on there.
And I was looking at that. I just haven't necessarily played a lot of it.
Yeah, so I've got 2 campaigns going with different people where we've agreed to play through every single one and all the expansions. Because we played a lot of the base game.
Yeah.
But I have all the historical expansions, but we haven't got to them. So I'm like, this is my excuse and to get them done. And it's just fun. It's
Yeah.
rolling dice and trying to not die.
Votes for Women, I've got multiple games going of it too. It's fun. It's light.
That's
I see some problems now with the game, only in the regard that it doesn't seem to change much for me, and I suck at it.
It's a game of
it's
setting
fun.
yourself up for success
It is.
in the dice
Yeah.
rolling at the end.
It's a good game. I enjoy it.
Yes.
But that's what I played this month and had a good game of... that's not true. I went to Myrtle Beach, spent the weekend with my brother and my niece and my sister, and we played a whole bunch of Euro-style games. We played Space Base, Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, DC Deck Building, thing called Point City, not my favorite. But I had a good time. We played about 12 games in those 3 days.
Yeah.
And then went outside and enjoyed but it was cold and windy.
What's outside?
Oh, yeah.
Sounds scary.
But we had a good time. We played games late into the evening and enjoyed that quite a bit. So
Awesome.
big gaming month.
Yeah, it really was. And February, whilst it is the shortest month on the calendar year, I think we've got some big plans for it as well.
We do.
Kind of all things considered.
Should we talk about those?
Yeah, so...
I'm not sure we're going to get through all this, but
Probably
that's
not.
okay.
Well, first up, next week we've got Russ.
Yeah, Dune War for Arrakis.
Yeah, so we got Dune. We're gonna play. So Dune, we're gonna play in a couple of days,
And then we're
on
going to play
Sunday
again.
because we've got Second Thanksgiving coming up,
Yeah.
which is the
Yes.
greatest holiday of all time.
Second Thanksgiving is a thing that he came up with because he enjoys Thanksgiving so much, and we get together in February or March.
late January, early February, and do another Thanksgiving.
it's gluttonous.
It's
But
good.
It's fun.
But yeah, so tomorrow, so we're going to play Dune for that. But then next week we've got Russ and
Jacob.
Is it Jacob coming down? And so we're going to play Dune with them.
4-player.
Four, which is we've done it 2. We're going to do it 2 again. 4 will be interesting.
It'll be different.
And then Tanto Monte.
I'm really scared about this game.
I am very curious about
I
this
am too.
game. That's for sure, because it's a game that
I'm scared about it only because I've heard people's experience, and like 1 or 2 turns is 5 hours.
yes, and
And
it's,
this says 3 to 7 hours. Here I Stand is like a 10-hour game, 10 to 12. And we love Here I Stand.
yes,
We're very familiar with Here I Stand. This one's very different, though.
Here I Stand for me at this point is about an 8-hour game. I think when we play with experienced people,
Sure.
it's
But still, the
usually-
more you negotiate, the longer that game takes, and we like negotiation, and it's kind of fun.
yeah. Apparently, so it's a big rule book.
Yeah, it's like,
It's a 60-page rule book, and apparently like 15 pages of this is activating minors and allies and stuff, which is daunting if there's that much extra chrome and rules. So we will be giving this a go,
at least giving it a go.
and I don't. So just bear with us on this one because I just have no idea how this is going to go.
Sure.
I'm excited for it. I love
Well-
Here I Stand. I love Virgin Queen. I love that style.
Yeah, and the system is the same, right? It's a card-driven game, and you're one of 4 powers. It's the Ottomans, the papacy, the Spanish, and
Portuguese.
So we enjoy Here I Stand and Virgin Queen. I think this one's going to be good too. It's just going to be a learning experience.
Yes.
There's other games we've played multiple times.
Yeah, so we can kind of blitz through them and we know what we're doing.
I
So
might want to unbox this, by the way. I didn't unbox it.
Sure. Yeah.
So anyway, that's next Saturday.
Yes.
I'm leaving that one here with you so you can get familiar with the rule book. Good luck.
Then the next game we have on our shelf of shame purge is
Forever Purge! Sorry.
Baptism by Fire.
BCS, Battalion Combat Series from MMP.
So we played the BCS Arrow Court, which was really good. Great intro title. If you can find that and buy that, that's a great intro to the BCS system.
Yep.
We have a number of other BCS
We do.
games. And I think we're trying to play 2 of them this year.
Arrow Court, right here.
I got Arrow Court right here. Brazen Chariots is
Somewhere. Isn't that on our list?
I think that's later in the year.
but it's like an October one,
Baptism by Fire is the Battle of Kazarine Pass.
which is in February of 1941.
We're playing it in February.
We're trying.
You know, this might be one. I just BCS is great, and
I love the BCS
I'm looking
system.
forward to it.
Yep, it's very different as far as war games go.
Yes, very, very.
and
very
I enjoyed it very, very much.
and it'll be fun to kind of get back at it again
Yeah.
and relearn some of that stuff because there was a couple things that we really didn't see in our court.
There you go.
But
Yeah.
I just, and it's let's play some of these games
February
that we've
43.
been ogling
Yeah,
for a long time. What's not to like?
Yeah, very excited. Very excited. Very exciting. Very excited to play it. I love that game. We're also going to try to do Downfall.
Yes.
We're idiots. This month's going to be very, very filled with big games. I don't know how we're going to do it.
Yeah. This is next week.
Yeah.
This is the week after. That's the week after.
Okay. Sure. And then we want to play Ardennes 2 again. Or Ardennes.
Ardennes 44 yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is Chad Jensen, John Butterfield, Downfall, Conquest of the Third Reich. So this is like World War II at the end of the European theater, right? The 44 to 45.
Yes.
And it's a very cool system. Not a unique system. It's based on other games that have done it. But whoever plays the Soviets... Oh, that's my blood sugar's low. I apologize. Whoever plays the Soviets is then controlling the Western German army.
Yes.
And then whoever plays the Western Allies is controlling the Eastern German armies. It's just a really unique concept.
Yeah, that's a neat concept.
Big hex encounter war game.
Apparently the system is pretty involved.
Yep.
So we're going to be learning some very big games this month. But
6 to 12 hours. We're going to pick a smaller scenario.
So I think they start you with Overlord.
Okay.
Apparently. And it's because it's got everything in it and you kind of learn it that way. I'm very curious. People who play it have loved it.
Oh, yeah. So I watched some...
I got high hopes for it, too.
Stuff from Joel Toppin on it, and he just absolutely loves it. So.
And it's one of those games where it was kind of one of Chad Jensen's games he was working on, and it got finished off by John Butterfield. That's the dream team, really.
Yep.
So I do have pretty high expectations.
Yeah, me too. I absolutely look forward to that. I'm also going to do Stuka Leader this month. I've been saying that this is the last 2023 Solitaire game that I'm going to play. That will actually make 16 of them.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and then I've got a couple new ones already for 2024 that I'm going to move on to. But I'm very interested in this one, and no, I'm not a Nazi sympathizer. That's not. But this game looks interesting. I enjoy the leader games that DVG puts out. They're narrative driven. This one looks really interesting, so going to give it a run.
These are the squadron ones where it's like you got your 12 or 16 pilots, and really it's about the campaign of keeping them alive and de-stressed and getting them better and better so you can improve them with all the different cards and stuff.
Very much looking forward to that. I'm going to give it a go this month, and so that's my gaming plans.
Yeah, I think that's...
all that you have?
Well, yeah. I have SOE Lysander, so thanks.
Solitaire. Who recommended it to you?
I don't remember what his name was.
Okay.
But it was someone
Let me see this.
who was commenting on my Flight to Aris video, I believe.
Okay.
So I don't know what to expect from it, but it looks like it's something a little bit different.
Do you have to cut these out?
Yes, or I think you can get counter sheets and cards from Blue Panther, which I might do.
Okay.
But this is all the rules and everything in it.
All right.
As
Charts and cards and...
So yeah, I'm...
Okay.
This was the book version that was on Amazon for $30.
Air War game.
So I'm curious. It looks cool. Something different thematically, at least. So
Sure.
We'll see.
Nice.
But yeah, if that's the one that I get to, that's what I'll be doing.
Nice.
I think that's it for games we're going to play, though. So before we talk about any Kickstarters and crowdfunders and things like that, I did want to mention, and I probably should have said at the beginning of the video, is that these monthly debriefs are now available in podcast format. I know some people have been asking for that for a long time. I finally had some help with that, so Tom, thank you very much. So these will show up on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts.
Can I make a comment about this, though?
Sure.
I think we should stagger the release of that until the video's been out for a while.
Typically, it
because
is...
I don't want people to watch that or listen to that rather than to watch the video. That's my opinion.
So typically, it is that way anyway.
Okay.
Just like I make the videos and upload them almost immediately, and then
Right.
I just have to send them over to him, and he processes them and then puts
Okay.
them up. So it
I would
is
just
that
think
way.
a couple week lag, I think, would be good.
But yeah,
that's just my opinion.
If you want, and you know, there's some other bits and pieces where it's just like our car videos. Some of those go up there as well.
Right. Because that format lends itself to that because we're not showing games or pieces
when
or
it's not like
the board.
instructional stuff or like reviews, those don't go on there because that would be unhelpful. So some of that stuff will appear on there, but if that's, you know, a way that you want to consume that,
sure,
that is something that's available.
What I would say to anyone is they can plug their phone into their car and play the video and it's the same damn thing. Am I wrong?
I think for some people's convenience, it's not. And if you
That's
want
not what I'm asking you.
Sure.
Is it the same thing or not? It's the same thing. You don't have to watch the video. You just have the volume going through your speakers and it's the same thing.
It's harder to do that when you're going for a jog, though, and you've got a video playing.
Okay, no, that's fair. Fair.
I can tell you don't listen to many podcasts.
No, I listen to some.
Yeah.
But, yeah, whatever.
But yeah, that's something that is available. Check it out.
Okay.
It's at, just put the Player's Aid into Spotify and you will find us. I don't have a link for it, sorry. So anyway, some crowdfunders we've got going on. Do we have any this month?
Sorry, yes. We have tons. Okay, Operation Meteor. Very cool looking print and play war game from James Isert. It's a end of the world AI, $3.
It's a print and play. It better be $3.
$3. And it's based on the old style of games from like the 80s that everybody knows. Those kind of
like those Steve Jackson ones.
Yeah, those kind of small mini games, for lack of a better word. Triumph, we already talked about, is on Kickstarter. It's raised about 50,000, I think.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
And it's been out for less than a week. And because it's good. Ace of Aces Powerhouse Series Deluxe Edition from Mr. B Games.
Yes.
That is coming out on Kickstarter. I want to say it's February 13th. Don't hold that to me to that. But that is an old style World War I aerial combat game where you have like a flip book.
Yep.
You're doing maneuvers and you turn to that page and it shows you the picture of what you're seeing, your opponent. It's cool. It's different.
Yeah,
People loved those games.
I used to have...
You did.
I think
one of the originals.
I think it was the old Powerhouse.
I would agree with that.
And I think that's the one they're redoing. Like, John, our father-in-law,
loved them.
He played those
and he
games,
loved them, yeah.
And he loved them. And I know a lot of people, a lot of you guys out there have played these and do enjoy them. So it's a new... And it's a legitimate, like, printing.
And they're upgrading it, right?
Yeah, they've got new artwork.
The art looks much better. I think the presentation looks better. But yeah, check that one out. If you want to find all these, go to the War Game Watch, which is my feature on the blog. The next one is from Worthington Games, and it's a 2-pack, although you can buy the games separately. They are mini solitaire travel war games. So they are, the first one is Pacific War 1942 Solitaire. The other one is War of 1812 Solitaire. They play like in 30 minutes. You can take them along. They're literally tiny little boxes with a little board, counters, some dice, cards, etc. And they look really good. That also has done very well on Kickstarter. Those are the only Kickstarters I got. That's it. So those
I'm sure there's a million that are in the works.
Yep.
And yeah.
Well, I know there's a new one, Tactical Commander, that I was checking out. Yeah, there's a lot of them. So there's at least 4 or 5. Go to the War Game Watch, go to Kickstarter, type in board war games, and these will come up.
Yes.
There's a lot of them. Good choices.
So, okay. First off, let's have a word from our sponsor, Noble Knight Games. So a big thanks to Noble Knight for sponsoring us. They do, as always, an excellent job.
God's work.
They're seriously.
And that warehouse is so cool looking.
It's if you
I had such a good
are
time.
anywhere close to where they are, just go and visit. It's so cool. It's a great shop, but like if you can, ask nicely and look in the warehouse part.
Yeah. Oof. Well, and we went, 4 or 5 months ago?
Yeah.
And I don't think we're going to do it this year. I think we'll probably look to do it in, say, 2025.
Yeah.
But it's an outlet for a lot of the games that we get and buy and trade for to kind of...
I only have so much space on the shelves.
Yeah.
And so do you. And so there comes a point where it's like, I cannot...
move some games on.
It's unsustainable. So put them back into circulation.
But anyway, thank you to Noble Knight. They're a great provider of war games in our community, so check them out.
Yes. So let us have a discussion about today's topic.
The topic.
So, okay, I wanted to pull up the...
We're using our phones more than we normally do.
I know, but this one is... I took a screenshot specifically because I wanted to remember that it was Mark Sieber who suggested this. So if you
Who's one of our patrons, right?
Yes, and that's if you want to be able to suggest topics for these monthly debriefs. I make a post every month, and people suggest the topics there. If you want to get in on that action and maybe get your topic talked about,
it's $5.
Yeah,
$5.
The $5 level gives you access to those posts where I pick the topics from typically. But we had a laugh because he had a great suggestion, and that's what we're going with. But he also had a different suggestion, which I almost went with.
Which was terrible.
And the suggestion was, you guys are the best. I do not know how you find time for family work and the prodigious contribution you make to our hobby.
Which not really a topic,
very
is it?
kind. But I joked to Grant where it was like, we're going to have a 40-minute discussion about how great that we are.
Well,
and
it would have been about 30 seconds.
Just tooting our own horn for 40 minutes.
So I'm like, that's not really a question. Do you have a question, sir?
It was very kind of him to say so.
It was.
So thank you very much, Mark.
He buttered us up so we would choose his topic. It worked.
And guess what? It worked.
It worked.
Oh,
Jiminy
also,
Christmas.
Before we get into that...
Oh, the Plum Island Horror.
Yes, I'll make the little announcement. So we did pick a winner for the Plum Island Horror. That has all been kind of arranged and sorted out for that giveaway. So you know who you are if you got picked. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
And if you didn't, sorry. But the winner...
We only have 17,700 subscribers, so it's only going to be one of those.
But the winning suggestion...
It was pretty good.
For what's your best zombie killing weapon was an off-board motor. And I just thought it was so funny.
When you told me that, the image I had was just incredible. It was like,
I mean, yes,
Fargo, like when he put the leg in the what do you call that, shredder?
Yeah.
It would have been the same thing.
it just
But how would you carry that, though? That's the problem.
that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. You'd have to come up with...
jury rigged with the straps, and you just got this big motor
Yeah.
dying from the gasoline fumes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
There were actually a lot of great
yes.
suggestions, and it's always fun, and I'm sorry if we didn't choose you. 16,000.
That was just my favorite answer that was funny.
Yeah, it was great. There were a lot of good ones, though. There really were a lot of good ones.
I had joked about there being a correct answer. The correct answer, it was very similar to the one that I picked. The correct answer is an upturned lawnmower that you use in the same way.
Sure.
Which is from the film Brain Dead, which that person had put in the comments. If you've not watched Brain Dead, it's one of Peter Jackson's first films, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's mental. Anyway.
But anyway, congratulations to the winner. I think his name was Ian. That's all we'll say about it. But he is, as we speak, the signed copy from Herman Lettman is being shipped to him.
So yes, congratulations.
So, and we thank Herman for donating that game to us and being willing to help us and sign it. So we appreciate that help that we got from him.
Very generous of him.
I wasn't going to give my copy of the Plum Island Horror away. We haven't played it yet, but it looks really good.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for that one.
So anyway, congratulations.
Yes.
We'll have more, believe me, we'll have more.
Yeah. The actual topic for today, as you have guessed from the title of this video and the thumbnail, is...
You mean they don't have to wait 45 minutes to find out what the topic is?
They know it before I do, because I'm having to read it right now.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to discuss
actually a pretty good topic.
Yeah, something that's very interesting.
Be pretty good.
Games with hidden information, and I thought that would be something really interesting to talk about, because what is hidden information, and what does that look like in a game? Because we've got a lot of games we can talk about here.
We do.
And there's such a variety of implementations of hidden information that I thought this would be something that's really cool.
Yep.
And we can't cover everything.
No.
There will be stuff that you love that we don't talk about.
Yep.
And that's fine. Put your favorite hidden information games and different hidden information modes in the comments. We want to hear about that so that other people can learn about your favorite games too.
But I would say about this topic, we have approached it kind of in little categories.
Yeah.
So hidden information is obviously a very, very broad subject, right? But I think we approached it. Hidden movement is one category.
Yes.
You know, one side is searching for another as they move around on an off-board map or paper or something, and then you're having to try to search for them, find them, kill them, blow them up, whatever it might be. The other types are cards.
Yeah, so card information that's hidden either in a hand or in a tableau or something like that. And, what does that represent? What does that, what's that for card play? So that's a very broad and, every
we
CDG,
could name
right?
50 games.
Then we also have, hidden unit information. And there's a few different iterations of that. And I just thought of another one that we'll talk about, but it's on my shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on your shelf, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
That's really cool.
Where is it? How far is it?
It's, oh gosh.
What is the game?
It's Korea, the Forgotten War.
Oh,
It's down there on top of Dixit.
do some dancing.
Yeah.
Do some dancing. It's on top of Dixit?
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah, I don't, because that's very different.
It's a
so
very good game,
hidden
too.
information on units might be, counters or blocks and, what that represents. So that's a topic. And then we've got things like hidden orders and command. So there's a lot of different stuff that we'll talk about. But that's we're going to kind of broach some of these in different topics, give you some examples within those. And that's one of the other cool things is that
10 games, right?
Yeah.
10 or 11.
Hidden information is a mechanic or a system through which a designer puts uncertainty into a
Fog
game.
of war.
It's a fog of war, and where they decide to put that hidden information is often the thesis or the crux of the game.
Yeah.
Right? Is the hidden information the actual units? Then we're talking about, okay, reconnaissance is really important, or the unknown of that ground reconnaissance. Or in something like a card game where it's a CDG, well, this fuels your
Activations
movement
on
stuff.
the
So this
board
is like command and supply are all built into that. That's a very different hidden information type versus this one. Hidden movement is literally that it's the movement part of it hidden rather than your strength, because the maneuver's the important part instead of the combat part of it. Maybe is less. So,
well, and I
think
know
that's
that
interesting.
Hidden information is always one of those things that people ask about when they can or can't solo a game.
Yes.
So we'll have played a big game, and they'll be like, "Oh, is there any reason that we can't solo that?" Typically, our response involves, "There's no hidden information."
Yeah.
Therefore, it's easy for you to just two-hand it.
And just do best possible moves.
And what we mean by that is sometimes there's like location of objectives or location of certain units that have to be destroyed. And those things are very hard to hide from yourself.
Yes.
Now, in solitaire games that are specifically designed for that, that happens all the time. We'll talk about at least one of those. But that's something we're asked often. Is there hidden information that we...
Yeah, and like you said, I think about Ardennes 44 that's under here.
Yeah.
Everything's face up, it would be really easy just to play both sides, no big deal, right? Whereas if someone is trying to duke and feint, that is much harder to simulate on yourself in any meaningful way.
I realized another game that I wanted to bring and forgot to bring was Maurice Suckling's American Civil War game. I'm trying to remember. It was called From Worthington.
Hidden Strike?
No.
No.
Sorry. I'll think about it later.
Okay.
But so anyway.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking. Chancellorsville.
Yep.
Yeah. Great little game. because you had some units off board behind a screen.
That one has
very unique.
Yeah, that one's very.
But you can solo that one. There's a solo bot. Anyway, all right. Let's dive into the topic.
Yeah, so
which of those areas do we want to do
movement.
first? Okay, let's
We'll start with movement because
I want to just bring all three of these out here.
Let's do it because this is hidden movement is something that's kind of very easy to consider, right?
Yes.
And what all of these games share in common is that one of the sides, their movement is not put out onto the board, and the other side is trying to search and narrow down the field and find them where they have moved, and then once you get there, you have some kind of combat resolution.
And a lot of it is based on anticipation of movement, right? Understanding, one of the keys to a lot of these games is understanding how many spaces somebody can move, right? If you don't have that limitation on there, it becomes very, very challenging.
Yes.
Like if I could move 7 one round and 1 the other, there's almost too many options to make it much of a game. But all three of these games that we have here, Sniper Elite, the board game designed by David Thompson, the guy that we played those 3 games with. Rebellion Unplugged, very cool.
David Sniper Elite Thompson.
David Undaunted Thompson, or David Valiant Defense Thompson. Yeah, he's designed so many games. But a very cool game where one guy is playing the sniper, right?
Yep.
Hiding around from the German patrols, trying to reach objectives and do things. And the German patrols are trying to move around and find them and corner them based on possibilities of where they could be.
And so that's also kind of a commonality here, is it's, kind of what their capabilities are.
Within a certain area, 5 or 6 hexes or 4 or 5 areas, and it's very challenging, but it becomes a deductive discussion amongst, and usually these games are kind of not cooperative. Like this one was cooperative. We had
it was like a 2v1 or 3v1.
This one is 2v2, and then this one is 2v2. Or I'm sorry,
we did
1v1, 1v1, right? So this one becomes kind of a discussion. Okay, where could he be? He could be here. Oh, I didn't think about that. And
I really like that.
Oh, I love that.
Because bouncing ideas off someone and having a discussion is really important.
It is.
Especially for some players. Whereas like it's something like this where it's just you're like,
what am I doing?
And if you like,
much harder.
If you goofed and someone that you could have discussed it with didn't spot that, you're down a rabbit hole and you're done.
Yeah.
And that's part of the joy of it.
And sometimes you can get off so far that you're not really close.
But then the other person has to keep a straight face.
Yep.
Because if they give it away, you're like,
bluff.
oh no, I'm way off target here.
Yeah.
And so then you get into, is this a bluff? Is this not a bluff?
And the other thing I do like about these games is typically they'll have, say, 2 or 3 objectives within a scenario.
Yes.
So you're as the searcher, you're trying to dog them, and then they'll blow up one of your bases. And you're like, oh, crap. Well, that's where they are. And you know the capability of their firing range, and then okay, I failed there, but now let me resize up where they are and kind of restart intuitively deducing where they might be.
Yeah.
So there's opportunities. I think there's opportunities in this for that. They Come Unseen. Also a great game from Osprey Games. This is a sub-hunt game.
Yep.
We had a blast with this one.
Just fun. Just a fun game.
It also uses a really cool, like, see-through template.
Yeah, so you can overlap with things.
It's just so well done. And you can do some little depth charges and understand, because it's not just
This one has that 3-dimensional.
Oh my gosh, this one is really good in that regard.
Great.
If you haven't played this one or heard this one, you need to look into this. I enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah.
Just made by a sub-commander,
and it's just
by the
like
way.
a fun game as well.
Yeah, Andy, I'm trying to remember what his name was.
Yeah. Is it on the front?
Such a great game, though.
Andy Benford.
There you go. And a British
yes.
sub-commander, or sub... Yeah, sub-commander.
Yeah.
And then Bomber Command, we've talked about Bomber Command any number of times, but it's...
And I will continue to, at every opportunity possible.
Because it's so good.
This one is much more involved than these two. This is kind of the other end of the spectrum. Longer, much more detailed, complex rules and things like that. But, and this one, as opposed to these two, it's I move my guys, and then you try to find me. I move my guys, you try to find me. This one, it is, you do it all before. The British player
It's kind of programmed.
pre-plans all of their flights, and they'll typically have 3 flights, 2 decoy Mozzie raids, and one of them is your Lancaster bomb stream.
Yeah.
And you plan those out, and that is programmed. You can't deviate from that. And so what you're trying to do is disguise those things and play cards to interfere with enemy radars and interceptors.
Yeah.
And this one is, you're trying to find them, and you probably will halfway through the game, but you have to then continually harass and harry them so that they can't do as much damage, carpet bombing one of your Cs at the end of it.
Yeah.
And then they got to fly home again, and you've got to try to not die. Just really cool game. This one, it's like all up front, though, that hidden stuff. And then it's trying to discover it throughout the game.
Here's the see-through. I mean,
you
just
literally
so
put
cool.
those up against the sides of your boats, and that's where you're doing
your searches.
Your searches and
it's
stuff.
just so well done.
Yeah.
Actually, those were really stuck together. But I love all 3 of these games for the hidden information aspect. Yeah. Another game that we have played a couple of times and enjoyed significantly that is not a war game, Hunt for the Ring.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
Is the same style of hidden movement game where you are the Nazgul trying to find the ring and the ring bearer.
That's more similar to something like Sniper Elite.
Yes.
Where it was like a bit more regional and figuring out, this one and this one. That was a fun game as well.
It was very fun, but I love all 3 of these games, and I would play any one of these right now. Like if you decided to throw these down and play them,
Bomber Commander
I'd be
just so good.
all in.
Sniper Elite is really fun.
So good.
I genuinely was like sweaty palms playing as the sniper in that one.
There's a dust bunny.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, off my game.
So that's kind of
hidden
movement stuff, right?
Yeah.
So next up, let's talk about should we do the cards?
Sure.
Okay. So cards is a very interesting thing because it can represent a lot of different stuff. So we've got some examples here. You could really put any CDG into this category as well.
Yes.
Because
you have a hand of cards that your player doesn't know about.
Yes.
And
they
can be your cards or they can be their cards.
And there's
cool.
There's all the subsets of, is this game have cards that play for the enemy or not?
Yep.
There's all sorts of stuff within that. You should go and watch our CDG video if you want more depth and detail specifically on that.
Yep.
But typically speaking, I think a hand of cards normally represents your capacity for command and control.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have like ops points or even something like Commands and Colors Napoleonics, right? It's like where you can focus your attacks.
Yeah.
And the cards are your way of dictating how and when you do stuff on the board, and your opponent doesn't necessarily know what your capabilities are.
Yeah.
So you might have a really bad hand, and you have to bluff your way through that
And
turn.
that's my favorite part of CDGs is, oh my gosh, I just got 7 of the worst cards in the game. 4 of them are yours that are going to go off for you if I play them, and the other 3 are ones.
Yeah.
So I have very few capabilities, and you got to understand that that's going to happen. And you've got to play those in a way that minimizes the damage to you. And that's some of my favorite part of the game, because I'm looking at you and you're like, you don't have anything on your face. I don't have anything on my face. My hand's garbage. Sometimes your hand's garbage.
That's my favorite, is when we both have a bad hand and we're both bricking it, and it's like,
just so good.
And we're both just all playing ones.
Yep.
And then like, halfway through the hand, you're like, we both are sucking it up.
There's always like a time you're like, Alexander's, he's holding back some of his good cards. He's just playing those 1s and 2s now.
And they never materialize.
And I'm like, those cards never got better. In fact, they got worse.
Yeah, well.
But that to me, with the card-driven game mechanic, is the best part. It's like, I've got a hand of garbage. How do I survive? And how do I survive to the next round where I could get another hand of garbage, but more often than not, the odds are going to say you're not going to have 2 really bad hands in a row.
And generally speaking, those hands of cards, like you said, they represent like overall command and control, or like your
Assets,
just abstract capacity to do things and to propel yourself forward. And we have a couple of examples here that are a little bit different.
Yes, very different.
Churchill, your cards are literal people.
Yep.
And it is them and your kind of staff who are negotiating issues around a table.
Yeah.
And so in this one, your cards represent a human person who really existed and their capacity to like negotiate and to come to an agreement and to move an issue forward. But like, it's a little bit different of what they actually represent. Functionally, they do the same thing, but what they represent in the game is different. Triumph and Tragedy, the cards have all sorts of different uses in them, but one of the cool parts of this is that you have you're putting pairs of cards face down, so they're hidden in your hand, but you're also putting them face down to develop technologies. And I think all good technology development games have this,
that,
where it's hidden,
Yep.
where you're like, ooh, I know that he's developing technology, but I don't know which one.
Total Domination from Phalanx, we just played that maybe a month ago. That has the same element, right? It uses tech. You lay cards down, and you don't know that they're developed until the end of the game. But you know someone's
face down in that game.
I thought they were.
I don't remember.
Okay, I thought they were.
But this one is very explicit.
And to me, that is really the great hidden information in this one, because the Soviets can win the game that way. If they develop, I think it's 3 levels of nuclear technology, they can win the game.
Yep.
They don't have to engage in fighting at all. Whereas the rest of Europe is pretty much at each other's throat from the get-go. They're developing technologies to make their combat better or their movement better. But that's one of the best parts, is you're putting it under the board, and you don't have to reveal that until you reveal that technology in a battle. Now, you can play certain cards to then spy on those.
Yeah.
And I just like that element. I really like that element of Triumph and Tragedy. I think that's a very cool and unique way of doing that. One of the things I really love in Churchill is you are fighting over issues on a track. And they all come to a center point, and then they all move towards you as you move them. And that hand of cards can be full of crap too, right? You have 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, and then you have some guys that add, if they're debating certain issues, they get their ops plus something. And you just never know what someone has and how they're going to get those, and you have to think about that and sweat it and play your cards wisely. It's just great.
And I think we picked these 2 games just kind of to put on the table because these are quite different.
Very different, yep.
In what they represent and how you use the cards and the hidden information on them from the regular CDGs. Things like Empire of the Sun, Labyrinth, Washington's War. Those are all very traditionally like, this is my command, these are my points to move my guys and do a historical event. Whereas these 2, the cards, the hidden information on them is quite unique and a little bit different, which is cool.
This one has bots, so you can play like a 2-player game, and then Stalin can be a bot.
Yes.
This one, you can play 2-player. I think the Soviets and the Western Allies are played by 1, but it's a 3-player game.
Yeah, you want to play it with 3. Yeah. And same with this.
Yeah, but these are both great games. I also thought it's unique that they're both 3-player games, and we chose them. But I love both of these games.
Yes.
They are 2 of my favorite card-driven style games. And this is also a block war game. So that's another aspect that we're talking about tonight.
Well, let's talk about that right now.
Yeah, because these have block units that you cannot see. They are turned around. And one of the really unique things about Triumph and Tragedy is you each sit at certain points of the board so that you can turn your units to you, and they are invisible to the other 2 sides.
Yes.
Do we have any others?
I think these are the block war games that I got out. So, block war games, let's talk about that. So, all 3 of these games use blocks which have a sticker on one side of them that you face towards you. This is my guy. I know how many strength points or what he is. You are just seeing a blank block. You have no idea what you're going into. So
Makes combat very, very dicey.
Yes.
You just never know.
So this gets into really like the fog of war. Like quite literally, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. Do any of these have scouting? Not really.
So I should have brought Fields of
Despair is the game.
Where World War I and you have the same block units, but you have biplanes that you can spy on and look at those individual blocks. These I don't think
you have to fight a dogfight if they have.
You
them.
do.
Fields of Despair is one of the best games ever.
It's so good.
I don't know how that hasn't been reprinted 100 times.
Well, it's on P500, and I think it's very, very close to making it. It's so good.
Get on it.
From GMT.
It is one of the best World War I games.
Yes.
It is one of
the best block war games because it breaks a lot of the rules of normal block war games. Typically, block war games, each unit has a static number of steps, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
In that one, they can have 3 or 4 steps.
You can go up to 20.
You can go up to 20 units. I mean, it's insane.
And
so it creates even a more double blind set of information that you don't know.
And you will,
which is amazing.
you will do this.
Yeah.
And you won't have changed anything.
Nothing.
And
those have
just to psych your other opponent out.
A really good block war game also has decoy units.
Oh yeah.
I think. Do any of these have decoy units?
I
don't
think this one does. This one's a little bit different.
I don't feel like this one does.
But
decoys are so good.
I'll say about Fields of Despair, I think about that game all the time.
We need to play that again.
Especially I think about the biplanes.
Oh,
because
so good.
your scouting is so important. And if you let your opponent free scout you, you'll lose that game.
Yeah.
And so the arms race and the technology race in that game is more potent than any of the other ones. Even though it's really strong and lamps are going out, it's really strong. Even in, what was the Greg Smith one? Shoot, what was that called?
Oh, Imperial Tide.
Imperial Tide.
Yep, great game. Great game.
Technology really important in those.
Yeah.
But the
biplane
manifestation of it
technology,
in Fields of Despair was one of my favorite things.
Oh yeah, very, very good.
Anyway, go buy it. Go put it on P500.
Yeah,
Get them to print that.
That's a great
Do
game.
yourself
I
a
should have
favor.
brought that one.
So, Colombia is very famous for their block war games.
I just got Rommel in the Desert.
I saw that.
Yep.
Is it in a real box and not a pizza box?
It's in a real box.
Look at
It is a
them doing
deluxe edition. It's really nice.
I
I cannot wait to play it.
So they're really well known for their Columbia block
Well, they
games.
just do them well.
I think
We played this game a couple of years, and that was the best 6-hour gaming session of my life, I think. It was so good.
it's just fun.
Yeah, it's so good.
And so,
So good.
This one, it's the whole of the Pacific War. I've got all my guys. You have no idea what you're getting into, but you can see how many guys there are, right?
Yep.
You've got four blocks in that space.
And they can typically be, each of them could have 1 step. They could be 4 steps to basically 16 steps.
Yep.
And that's a big, big difference.
Yep.
And you're looking at yours going, I've only got 6 steps total.
And then it's like, let me get my carriers and my combined arms and stuff.
So good.
So not knowing what your opponent has can make for games like the Columbia block games, those are really fun. You get that moment of I march my guys in and you reveal the blocks and you're either elated or you are deflated.
Yeah.
And that's a fun moment in a game.
Oh, yeah. Or at the end of a game, a stack that you thought was a killer stack ultimately had nothing.
Yeah.
And you're like, crap.
You got bluffed out of something as well.
You got bluffed out
You're
of it. And that's one of the great
love
things
that
about
stuff.
hidden information in block war games.
And Triumph and Tragedy, exactly the same, right?
Yep.
It's very similar. All my units are hidden.
Yep.
But it's a 3-player hidden block game. There's not many of those out there.
No.
And so...
and once again, you are told to sit at certain ports of the board so that you can point your units to you and you can see them. Nobody else can see them.
Yeah.
That is such a well-done part of this game.
And it works.
It works very well.
Conquest of Consequences the same way.
We've played both of the games in the series multiple. They're fantastic.
Sekigahara is a little bit different from these ones. It's still a block war game, but these blocks don't have steps. It is just a piece that has a symbol of a family on it, and you have a bunch of those, like a lot of them.
And you can't see those symbols on the blocks because those symbols are facing the player who owns them.
Yes, and so I know what blocks I have. But,
or don't have.
Yeah, but you also have a hand of cards in this one. And the hand of cards
activate the types of symbols
the
that you
matching
have.
symbols. So you might have a big old army, but you might not have the cards to power that army.
And I don't know whether you have the cards or not.
And so
I look and see your stack of 5 or 6 guys, and I'm like, oh crap, here it comes.
and so you're launching an attack into something where you don't know the units, and you don't even know if the units have cards to power them, and you get into treachery and traitors and people switching sides, or well, they just like don't fight effectively, and so you're like, I'm going to attack this big old stack, and the 7 guys that were there, only 3 of them fought, and the other 4 basically just like stood beside, which is so periodically awesome.
Yeah.
So like
it is so Sengoku Jidai, right?
Right.
They traded sides like underwear.
And I don't know if a lot of other games
as did things
do
like
that.
Richard III.
Oh my gosh, yes.
There was some of that as well.
Even in Hammer of the Scots, you're doing that.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the games in this era of Japan have less of that.
Yeah,
A lot of them
would
it's
agree
like,
with that.
it's a war game like this. Or it's like, here's my line of guys. But I love that you get that part of it here. And that's what the hidden information does. It tells this very different kind of part of the historical story.
This is a very fine game.
It's stunning as well.
Very well designed, very interesting, very engaging, and very fun. I love Sekigahara. In fact, that's got to be a game that we play again sometime this year because it is that good.
It's just...
Matt Calkins is a genius, and the guy's like a billionaire, not from game design, from his company. So he also is good at game design.
Charioteer?
He did, yeah. The Charioteer that we play and love, it's also him.
But yeah, this is choice, but you must have a second player with it. There's not... There's no...
Well, it's just the crux of the game.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't... I just don't see it working. So that's one I don't think you can solo. Unless somebody created a bot, but I don't know how they
For something like this, there are people who are desperate enough where like they lay all the blocks down, do it two-handed. Yeah,
it's just not the same.
Okay. Like, sure. But you can't do that with this. It's not... it stops being the game.
You could do it in a computer game.
Yes.
If somebody could make that a computer game. But I will say this. I actually feel like block war games get a bad rap.
They do.
I really, really have enjoyed almost every single block war game that we have played. Every single one of them.
Yes.
It's just a very good way to create a fog of war and the unsureness of what's going on. So anyway, but these were great examples of that type of hidden information.
So next up, let's talk about like more traditionally hidden units.
Okay, so we'll do these. One solo and then one multiplayer, 2-player.
So
war game.
Not dissimilar from block war games, is you'll get games that have like hidden units. That can take a number of different forms. So in the D-Day at series,
and this is D-Day at Saipan, but we also have Omaha Beach and I have Iwo Jima, I have Tarawa, which I really love.
I also have Peleliu. I've just not played it.
Never played
it. But this series specifically, and there's a lot of other games out there, you'll have like fortifications and bunkers, and they will have units inside them.
I think they're called depth markers.
Depth markers, that's correct. And you do not know what those are.
And you have a certain number of those, and you kind of mix them up, and you're putting those in those positions face down. It could be a 1, or it could be up to 3 or 4, and you just never know when you attack that position how bad the defense is going to be. That absolutely makes that game.
And it's
literally makes it so very good.
And it's those games, and I also love about this one, it's like when your units break or you lose steps, they get the symbols on them, and that's what they've got left.
Yep.
And you might need certain other symbols to defeat this hard point.
Yep.
These guys can't do it. You've got to get more guys up. That's such a cool part of the game, but it's quite literally hex and counter game, and some of those units are like face down or they're hidden.
Yep.
So you don't know what you're going up against. Very great mechanic in a solitaire game, right? It's what you want. I move my forces up, bit of the surprise, it works really well in there.
Yeah, this system was developed by John Butterfield, He did Omaha Beach, Tarawa. Trying to remember.
I think he may have done Pelelu as well.
Pelelu.
He did the first 3.
And then Joe Yost, I think, has done...
He did Iwo Jima and then Saipan.
Iwo Jima I didn't enjoy it. I'm just going to be honest. The rules were a mess. It just wasn't very good. This one I've heard good things about. I know you did a review that I watched.
I think it got back to what it was supposed to have been. It's very
One of the
good.
things I love so much about this system has nothing to do with hidden information is the maps. The maps have colored zones, and all these zones intersect, and that's how the bot decides which positions it fires on. It's just so well done.
Well, and even that is a hidden information. You pull a
It
card,
is,
and it's these guys that are going to shoot.
Yellows
You
are
have
gonna
no
shoot.
premonition about that.
Now, in the couple that I've played, you can't be shot by 2 different colors.
Yes, that's always the case.
Because, man, it would just be...
Oh, you would never win.
Yeah. I never won Tarawa. Never even come close.
Yeah.
And Iwo Jima, I was getting destroyed.
I realized I said that out loud. I've also never won one of these.
Yeah. Anyway, very cool, I think, implementation of hidden units in a solitaire game. This has hidden units. This is Fortress Europa, the Designer Signature Deluxe Edition, or whatever they call it. What do they call it?
Designer Signature Edition.
Designer Signature Edition by John Edwards, right? This is one of those quintessential Western
classic
theater. But the thing that I like the most about it, there are 9 units for the Germans. I think 6 of them are SS units, and then the other 3 are tanks. I think they're panzers. Those are hidden units where you literally write on a piece of paper at the beginning of the game, this is an N17, and that's the hex that they are in. And you keep that piece of paper with those units, and when the Allies move next to that hex, you spring the trap. And I'm telling you, 7 or 8 of those units are very, very good units.
Yeah.
They're not like, oh, just garrison units that pop up.
Yeah.
These are SS units that like have 9, 10, 11, 12 combat factors. You put them in the right positions in that game, catch the Allied player unawares, all kinds of havoc can go on. I loved this game. I really did. We played this many, many years ago.
And even as just the game is good.
Oh, the game is good.
Really cool.
But that use of hidden units, I think, and we've played a couple other games that have done that.
Yeah, that is also a favorite kind of tactical game mechanic.
Yep.
Where it's like, oh, one player sets up an ambush. Cool.
Yep.
These 2 units, put them in any hexes
hex.
that you want. And it's you physically write that down, and then they pop up.
Or mines. That's another thing that I think is pretty common.
Yeah. Didn't we do that in OST?
OST, I think it was.
I remember that.
Yeah, the Pacific Theater.
Yeah, the Shermans just got
5 or 6, and you had to spread them around based on where the axis of advance was going to be. And it's like, oh, there goes my Sherman. I just did an anti-tank mine. Anyway, great examples, I think, of hidden units, and that just, it makes the game that much more interesting. Because I think sometimes war games suffer because you know everything, right?
Yes, agreed.
You can see everything, you can see the makeup and the combat factors and the defense and the movement, and you can see all of that.
And so you calculate the odds, and you calculate the odds plus a die roll, and you're like, it's worth it. And you're like, that's not
the way combat works.
How it works in real life. Because your information will never be that accurate.
No.
And so, yes.
So when any game that puts hidden units, I have always enjoyed them. I just think it's really, I consider this hidden random units. These are hidden units, which is very, very different.
Yeah, this is like, I set up my traps.
Yep.
That's awesome. This is like, there's unknowns, and you're oh, very similar to a block game.
Agreed. But yeah, I really enjoy, and frankly, this is one of the games that I don't know that I'm ever going to get rid of. We may never play it again because there's so many Normandy games.
But this is so much more than a Normandy game.
It is. Because
this is a France game.
You're right.
And I also loved, the hallmark of this game to me is the fictional scenarios.
Yeah.
You can do the landings basically
anywhere,
wherever you want.
The Bay of Biscay or...
do the Champagne landings.
Yep.
You can do all of that, and it is a different setup.
Yep.
And the hidden units are in a different place.
Yep.
But they're still there. You might not be as many of them. It might look different. But
I also really enjoy the aircraft matrix that you have in this.
Oh my gosh.
Placing certain type of aircraft units in certain functions and it becomes that biplane thing where
Germans are trying to counter it.
Yep, if I put enough there, I can counter you, and if not, then I'm going to get bombed.
But the
and it's
German
just
Air
very
Force
good.
is not big enough to cover everything, so what do you prioritize? Oh,
Yep,
wonderful.
very, very good. Well, we have 2 more games, and we could go on all night.
Yes.
I really think we could.
These are 2 quite unique ones within this space.
This is a great little game.
Dude,
This is such a good little game.
1950, The Forgotten War.
From CSL,
this is one of the,
Conflict Simulations Limited.
Yeah, is this one of the only Korea games we've played? We don't play a lot of Korea games.
It very well might be. I feel like we've played one other, but
I feel like we have as well, but I don't.
Yeah.
But this...
It's just not my favorite war to play. But this game was good.
This game was excellent, and in this one, the hidden information...
It's called the procedural combat series.
Yes. The hidden information in this one is a replacement of the dice rolling as well. So that's really its function, is to act as a randomizer. And in this one, I have a unit, you have a unit, and we're attacking each other. It's extremely tight.
I don't think I'm going to be able to get that off.
And basically, you have either some minor value, or you have no value at all printed on the counter. And what you're going to do is...
Wow, we put this one away without putting bags in it.
I don't, yeah.
Holy hell.
It was a different time back then.
Barbarians, man.
But in this one, your units have a letter on them.
Yep.
And so I'm attacking you with my A unit, and you're defending with a unit that has a B on it. And we draw from a cup that has a massive cup of chits.
And refer to that letter.
Yeah, and so I picked this one, and this little chit says, A, your combat value is a 4. Mm-hmm. But they're also dual-sided, so you pick the best one, I think. Or pick this one, B, your combat value is a 7. So it's the replacement for a die roll, but you also have no information printed on your units.
Yeah, it's
and so that is
very unique.
Also like that block war game principle.
Yep, because this is a B5.
And you're like, 5 is the movement factors.
That's what the unit is.
And the B is like, it could be anything from like 1 to 8.
And I know I remember when we played this, it was very unique for us.
We've never played anything like that.
Played something like that. And I remember reading the designer notes, and Raymond Weiss, the designer, was like, he was trying to create or replicate the unknown capacity of particularly the Chinese troops, because they
untested.
They were untested, and I remember playing this thinking, that was a blast.
It made the game so fun, and it made it a game. Yep. And you would do things or not do things because...
Procedural combat series.
To me...
I really liked it.
This is much more... I don't know if realistic's the right word, but this is what I imagine it to be more like. Where you know that there's troops there. You have no idea if they're elite or not.
Yep.
Come on.
Whether they have artillery or bazooka or whatever.
Got the red background defense number, and they've got the 5 tank value. We don't know that.
Yeah.
And so you get that in this that feels like that's probably more of a realistic outcomes and way to think about things.
Yeah, yeah.
At least back then. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's something. I love that game.
Well, and not having played a lot of Korean war games, I don't know that we have a lot to compare it to.
No, really not.
All I'm saying is this game was fun.
Very fun.
It was interesting. It was unique. And one comment I would say about Ray and his games, he's a small company. Ray is an acquired taste in many ways. I met the young man at WBC. Was it 2018, 2019?
Yeah.
He came over on a shoestring, had some really cool looking games. We've played, 4 or 5 of their games. I have 4 or 5 others that I need to play. But he just designs great, fun, playable games. Rostov 41. SCS series, but designed by Ray Weiss. The guy can design a game.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Yep.
So anyway, give them a shout and a look out if you haven't looked at their games. CSL. They have great games, I guarantee you. You'll love some of them.
I think the last one that we're going to talk about today is Atlantic Chase. That's right. I still have Atlantic Chase.
No, it's a great game.
Everyone was freaking out that I'd sold it.
Well, because we had an extra copy.
We had 2.
I can't remember why we got... a second copy, but
I don't know. But there's just not enough space on the shelves. But
great game.
yeah, really, really good. So this one, the hidden information in this one is a little bit different. This one, you're putting out all these really long lines for your routes and where they are, and the hidden information is much more abstract, right?
Well, it's where are the boats in that long line of possible locations?
And neither of us know.
Yeah.
And until you go and intercept them, and I decide which end of the line to chop them off, that's where they move. So it functions as a movement mechanic, but where my specific placement within that movement is hidden, both from you and also from me, because I don't care where it is. It's just in this segment of it. And I just thought that was such a cool mechanic.
Yeah.
You'll never play anything else like this.
Really, well, that's not true. He's coming out with a Pacific Theater
until
game.
You get to the Pacific one.
Yeah. So it's going to be the similar concept, just in a different theater of war.
But it's there's nothing quite like it, and it was just such an interesting take on like unit placement, where it is so abstract, because it's like you're within this 10 hex segment, which is half the map. And so I go to intercept somewhere and I successfully do that. And all that does is it cuts that segment where I did that. And so I can either put myself right here, or I can put myself in this segment.
And then it shortens it.
And it's shortened a little bit. And so you're going to kind of move and do that again.
Yep.
But I'm also going to try to extend it again.
Yep.
But which end will I extend it from? Because I might...
It's so interesting.
And it's... The outcome is the story of what it was, as opposed to the actual doing of those lines. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
So this one's a little bit different.
Well, it's as you said, it's abstracted.
Yes.
So it's not as clear cut as some of the pre-programmed movement or hidden movement that we've talked about. It's just a very different.
It's much more.
But it's very good.
Fluid and dynamic of trying to pinpoint that person.
Well, and then you can use planes that are either airborne or land-based, or it's just very cool.
Yeah,
very unique game.
You'll never play anything like that.
Nope.
And there's a million other games that use hidden information. A lot of it's variations of what we've talked about, or specific instances of it. But like I said, if you've got a favorite game.
Well, one other thing I wanted to say though is a lot of time in war games is you can't examine stacks.
Oh, that's like the easy way to do it, right?
It's one of those things that makes a game very different.
And
very different.
Those games will very typically have a very specific order in which you have to stack them. They might say biggest unit on top, or they might say artillery on top.
Yep.
And you cannot inspect those until you're right next to them.
It makes a game very, very different.
So
I wanted to add that because we didn't really cover that element, but that's more of a common use, particularly in hex encounter games. But not every game does that.
No. And some of them, and the games that do have done and chosen to do that on purpose.
Intentionally.
To hide that stuff.
Yeah.
And the last one is you will get games that have the off-map strength hidden behind a chart.
Screen.
We've done a number of games like that.
We talked about that, 1806, 1807, and 1815 from Shakos.
I'm pretty sure that was behind a screen.
Does an element of that.
And
those games are very good.
That's Stalingrad. We played the Stalingrad game. From the Saratoga Company.
LPS, which is Against the Odds
magazine. Is it Against the Odds? Is that what it was?
It's their
boxed game.
Yeah.
But it was, I'm pretty sure
that had some of that as well.
That had off-map strength markers.
It did, yeah.
But I don't remember if that was behind a screen or not.
I liked that game. I'm still sore about the retreat rule.
Agreed. But the interesting part of that game was the off-map strength.
It was very interesting.
That was the cool part of it.
I'm totally going off topic, but we played Ardennes 44.
Yes.
And you can advance in any direction.
Yes.
Which is very unique in a war game.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry, just had to bring that up. But that's another one. I think there's dozens of others that we could bring up.
Oh, yeah.
to me, it's one of the elements of war games that is important to be included in war games because you cannot possibly know everything on the battlefield. You can now more today, right? With drones and
our information
satellites
is much more powerful.
But even then, you still don't know.
Yeah, because you might be able to see a unit's disposition of size, but you have no idea what their morale level might be.
Or
you might have
are
an
they
educated
good
guess.
fighters, or do they have good leadership?
What's their
or,
training?
Yeah, or their weaponry. Do they even have good weapons?
Part of the reason is that's why we roll dice or
Yeah.
draw cards, right, for that. But
Yeah.
hidden information and fog of war is also something that I think is really important to have in games typically.
Agreed.
So let us know what your favorite fog of war in games is, or what your favorite games with fog of war are and hidden information.
Yeah.
So that we can all learn together what other different ones are out there. But either way, very grateful for everyone sticking with us and tuning in. I've been Alexander for theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.